Hey there everyone, Mark Decote here from Solo Talk Media and host of the Orphan Black podcast. And this is my double take for the Orphan Black episode that aired May 17th, 2014, entitled Ipsa Scientia Potestas Est. And after a little bit of research, I found out that that is Latin for knowledge is power. So this was a great episode. We didn't get as many characters in it. We got no Allison. We didn't see Mrs. S. It was a little bit more focused than the previous episode, but it still gave us a lot of meat to it. A lot of questions we still have unanswered, and new questions that were brought to us. Not many things were answered in the whole thing, other than the fact that we know that Daniel died for sure. But anyways, all that stuff I'm going to talk about in my podcast later this week. For now, this double take is once again to bring you 3 questions that I'm going to ask you. And it was tough for me to come up with 3 questions this week. There was a lot of stuff going on and I had a hard time figuring out what I was going to ask you. But what I did decide to come up with are question number 1. Why does Cal have a fake ID? We saw him pull it out whenever the police officer came to knock on the cabin door. Now, I'm trying to figure out what would Cal be doing with a fake ID. And there's another part in the episode where, unless Daniel told Rachel where he was going to find Sarah, and looking at Cal's cabin, how did they know to look into Cal? Like, that's the only thing. Daniel must have reported it somehow, found out whose cabin it was, because the Dyad Institute is now looking into Cal's background, or at least they were having Paul do it. So, is there more to Cal than what we've led to believe? Sarah went to him because he was an unknown. He was somebody that was completely out of the loop of everything. And she thought that was safe. But after this episode, I'm starting to wonder, how safe is he? I don't know anybody that has a fake ID like that. I mean, other than maybe an underage drinker, teenager that might have one try to get into a bar or something. But that's definitely not Cal's case. So my number 1 question this week. Why do you think Cal has a fake ID? Question number 2. Paul. Whose side is Paul really on? At the end of last season, we got the impression, because they still had some blackmail info on Paul, he told Sarah that he would be her eyes and ears into the Dyad Institute, and that's why he had gone in. And we saw him help her toward the end of the season. But this season, he hasn't really been much help, other than a few episodes back, wherever she went in and broke into Rachel's office and was knocked her out, and Paul let her strike him and then allowed her to escape, which kind of made us believe, okay, yeah, Paul's on her side. But do you think he is still on Sarah's side and fighting for her, especially after he finds out that she hooked up with Cal? Or do you think that Paul has gotten too involved with the Dyad Institute? Has he gotten too invested in it? And now he's starting to be more on the Dyad side. So question number 2 this week is, whose side is Paul really on? And my third question this week is Dr. Leekie really treating Cosima? We found out he was hiding the information from Delphine and Cosima about the treatment he had developed with the stem cells. And then later on, when they find out the information, they confront him. He said that Rachel wanted the whole thing put on hold, but he's going to go behind her back and treat Cosima anyways. Now, when you skip to the end of the episode and we find out the little meeting at the bar where Paul shows up and Leekie says that Sarah's looking into things, and he tells her about Cosima and all that, it really got me wondering, is he really treating Cosima? Rachel said that Dr. Leekie, no, was it Rachel or Paul? I don't even remember. But somebody in the episode said something about Leekie, it was Rachel. She said that Leekie was getting too close. He was too involved with the subjects. And is that why he was treating her? Just because of his compassion and he was too involved with the clones and wanted to help them? Or is he just leading Cosima on and this is all a ruse on his part because they're still trying to get the whole Sarah and Project Lita thing under control? So that's my third question this week. Is Dr. Leekie really treating Cosima's condition? So those are my 3 official questions. I'm going to throw a 4th one out there, unofficial. I'm just curious. We saw, in this episode where Paul shows up at Felix's place, he has a police officer with him. Now, at the time, I thought it was just somebody pretending to be a police officer in order to gain entrance to Felix's place. But later on, we find out that Felix is actually in jail. So that must mean that it was a real police officer. So is it just a corrupt police officer, or is the Dyad Institute somehow involved or buying off the police department? I don't know. I don't think we can actually answer that question right now. But we do know that Daniel threatened to have Art suspended, and the next episode, Art was suspended. So what sort of influence does the Dyad Institute have over the police? So that's kind of a fourth question I'm throwing out. Normally I only put 3, but that's just something that's bothering me, and I want to find out what you guys are thinking about that. So anyways, as always, you have until noon Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday to submit your answers, your feedback. If you want to talk about anything else about the episode, I feel free. I love to hear that stuff. I got some great feedback last week. Found out Brian brought in that theory about Gracie possibly carrying the egg, and we kind of got confirmation of that this week, that she was told that if they can't get Helena back, that she would have to carry it. And so that was, I'd say, 95% accurate, Brian, so good job on that. We'll have to just wait to see what happens if they do get Helena back, or if Gracie's going to be forced to carry it. But that's the sort of thing I like to hear, so you can answer my questions. I love to get those answers, but anything else you want to throw my way, it's much appreciated. So again, noon on Tuesday Eastern Standard Time is the deadline to submit. You can send it to me via email, either typed up or audio file attachment. Send it to feedback@solotalkmedia.com. You can leave me a message on Facebook at facebook.com/solotalkmedia. You can leave a comment under the YouTube video. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to leave me a comment under the video, feel free to do that, and I'll check before I record my podcast. And you can also call voice feedback line 1-805-910-7656. You can use the SpeakPipe widget at solotalkmedia.com. It's on the right hand side, and that SpeakPipe widget is also available on Facebook if you want to do that, and that again uses your computer's microphone. You just click the little button, hit record, and you use your microphone on your computer to record. You've got 90 seconds to leave your message, and then listen to it, make sure everything is okay, and then you just hit the send button, and I get sent directly to my email. They email me an audio file, so that works really well. So, and I'd like to thank those of you that have left comments for me on iTunes. I checked, and there was a couple of new ones there, so much appreciated. And if you're listening and you haven't done so already, just take a few minutes out of your day, if it's not too much trouble, next time you're at your computer, and go look up the Orphan Black podcast by Solo Talk Media on iTunes, and just leave me a little review. I'd really, really appreciate it. So anyways, that's it for this week's Double Take. I will be talking to you later this week during my podcast, and I hope to hear from you, get some good answers, maybe some more questions from you guys, and all that. So anyways, until next time, this is Mark saying, take care.